Hello, and welcome to this podcast exploring how value-based pricing strategies might be applied in the United States market. For Optum, I'm Jackie Walker Gibson. Traditional free pricing strategies have allowed pharmaceutical manufacturers to set the price of their product, at whatever price point the manufacturer thinks is appropriate. According to Michael Drummond, professor of health economics at the University of York and principal consultant in the life sciences group at Optum Insight, European countries such as the United Kingdom and Germany have been bastions of free pricing in the past. But rising healthcare costs have led those countries to take a second look at pharma prices. These countries have introduced value-based pricing, a strategy that involves assigning a price point to a product based on the clinical evidence of the product's efficacy. The strategy is representative of a move toward improving quality while curbing costs. Alan King, global pricing lead in the life sciences group at Optum Insight, explains the move toward evidence-driven pricing.
10 years ago, what would happen is, a new product comes out on the market, and it's just this product should be priced 10 to 15% higher than the last one, and that's it. And that's really all that was required. Now it's, okay, tell me why, as a payer, I should be paying for this medicine, and what's the evidence?
It's the kind of pay-for-performance strategy stakeholders are exploring across healthcare, as with accountable care environments where reimbursements are tied to the quality of care. To meet the specific needs of its population, each European government exploring value-based pricing has come up with its own version of the strategy. Drummond cites two well-known examples, Germany and the United Kingdom.
In Germany, what's going to happen is that when the product is launched, there's going to be a very quick assessment of the level of value added on a 5-point scale. Then there's going to be a period of 1 year whereby the company can launch at their chosen price, but throughout that year a series of negotiations is going to take place, and hopefully by the end of the year a negotiated value-based price will emerge. In the UK it's rather different in that in the United Kingdom the National Institute for Health and Clinical Excellence, NICE, will undertake its assessment of cost effectiveness in the way that it does now. The only difference will be that whereas currently NICE then goes on to make a recommendation about whether the product is used in the health service and by whom, under the new system the assessment will then go into the ministry, who will discuss how a value-based price can be negotiated. And what will happen is that the assessment of incremental cost effectiveness will be one of 4 criteria that the ministry will use to establish the value-based price.
Can these pricing strategies work in the United States to meet the needs of payers looking to pay for quality? Not exactly, says Drummond.
The interesting thing is that in Europe we've always thought of the US as being on a different planet when it comes to healthcare, and that we can't learn much between one system and another.
That's because currently, the United States represents an entirely different way of pricing based on copays. In the U.S., the manufacturer is free to set the price of their product. But the pricing doesn't stop there. Medications and devices are then discounted based on mandates from federal payers like Medicaid or negotiations with the private payer. That negotiated price correlates with a formulary tier based on copays. A generic product has no consumer copay, older brands have a moderate copay, and newer brands come with a higher copay. King says those higher copay prices are often 2 to 3 times higher than what is generally paid in Europe for the same products. But if the U.S. market can fit European strategies into the copay framework, there may be opportunities to give payers the value they're looking for, while closing the gap between U.S. and European pricing.
What's going to happen is that those copay levels are going to be set in relation to the level of value that the product adds. And there are already 1 or 2 forward-thinking plans in the Pacific Northwest in particular that are experimenting with this kind of formulary. So the difference in the US is that you'll have the value-based assessment, but that will really determine the level of copay.
Drummond says further exploration of this pricing strategy is worthwhile and recommends manufacturers focus their drug development efforts on proving their device or medication will improve population health. King agrees.
Obviously there's going to be more work done, but if you truly have an innovative product, and generating the evidence to support that innovation, I think there's going to be opportunity. The sky isn't going to fall if you have the right level of evidence.
To find additional insights into healthcare and the pharmaceutical industry, visit ignite.optuminsight.com. Please note that all views expressed in this podcast are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent the views of Optum.